Welcome back to Key Talk Media. This your host, Key Talk. Check it out, man. All right. Hey, man, shout out to the OG Key Talk game members. You know what I'm talking about? I appreciate everybody, the OG Key Talk game members and also the newcomers of Key Talk gang for hitting that like button. We are doing excellent. While I'm talking right now, make sure y'all hit the like button. It helps us all grow as a team together. Anyway, so today, we're going to do something a little different, right? First, we're going to talk about, what Ralo had to say. He kind of threw some shots at Boosie. But then next, we got to figure out what in the blue hell is going on inside of Venezuela to the point to where the U.S. has taken a plane from the U.S. president. I mean, not from the U.S. president. The U.S. has taken a plane from the Venezuelan president. That's kind of like our president in the USA got something called Air Force One. It's like our best plane. Nobody touched it. Don't shoot at it. Don't do nothing to it, right? We pretty much took the Air Force One from Venezuela. Like, we took their top plane from their president, which could leave him stranded or whatever it may be, right? What in the blue hell is going on? And then also we do know that the Venezuela has actually dropped off a lot of their criminals and gangs inside of the U.S. And that's not just like a political talking point that the presidents, or the previous presidents, and that they're talking about right now. It actually did happen in Aurora, Colorado. They actually did take over some buildings. And then not only that, what's happening to where in the U.S. that a lot of Venezuelans are beginning to come over here and like actually populate a lot. Even some parts in Chicago, some of the gang members is coming out and saying that some of the Venezuelans are taking over specific areas, even inside of Chirac. Now, it's going to be easy for them to do that. Why? Because the gang members are all split up and against each other. There's no like unity with them to where they all can combine and make sure to keep others out. But hey, man, we're going to get into that a little later, right? We're going to do a research together, actually, right? I'm excited to do that with y'all. But first, let's get into this news of Ralo. Ralo pretty much came out and threw a couple shots at Boosie. You know, Boosie was one of the ones that spoke out when people was claiming and alleging that Ralo actually did any type of snitching or telling, where it did come out that the guy that said that wasn't, he was just talking. Now, here's what I will say, right? They got a little thing going on. Boosie and Ralo. Ralo doesn't like Boosie at all. And obviously, I know Ralo also doesn't like the people that was against Young Dolph and his beef. And you can actually hear him take a jab at Boosie, and then he didn't say them other guys' name, but he literally called them and them other guys in this particular part, right? Let's just go ahead and play the video for y'all so y'all be able to hear what he had to say. He's talking about, being a boss instead of just rapping on stage until he's 50 like Boosie and stuff, right? But here goes that video.
An artist and being a CEO of a label, like, I'm gonna get old one day. I ain't trying to be on stage like Boosie rapping when he 40, 50 years old. I ain't trying to be doing that. I want to pull up like Birdman with my artists up. Pull up like QCP with my artists
You're
up.
watching Key Talk Media.
The other side, all them old, say their name. I don't care. But I don't answer to nobody but God. You hear me? I do not answer to nobody but God. So this tongue right here, they might say some shit, you probably just be like, oh, so trip. I don't answer to nobody but God. So, and then I'm gonna say some pipe shit. I'm gonna do the right thing by the people. I ain't gonna say no old bad shit. But I might slip and say some shit, you know what I'm saying? But they don't mean turn. I ain't telling y'all this follow the focus.
Anyway, so with that being said, obviously Boosie, Ralo's making a statement like, "Hey man, I'm trying to be a boss, a CEO in the game," but he still, like I say, threw some shots at, threw a shot at Boosie, threw a shot at the other guys. Let's just say the other guys as well with that statement. But like I say, let's go read the comments, and then we're gonna hop into this Venezuelan conversation, do some research together, right? So within the comment section of what Ralo just said to Boosie. The first comment says, he only saying that because he ain't having no classics with that Mickey Mouse voice. The next comment says, no need to knock another man to speak on your goals, shaking my head. The next person says, the stage seems more fun if that's what you love doing. When you're a successful drug dealer, and then a question I asked, I was like, has Boosie actually, blew up any artists and somebody commented Young Blue and Mo 3? But obviously, we know, especially being from Texas and Dallas specifically, Mo3 was never signed to Boosie. They did do a song together, and Boosie was like his favorite artist, but he never actually signed to Boosie. So that's an incorrect statement by whoever said that. The next person said, did he just say Birdman as an example when Birdman just dropped songs with BG with video and always raps on stage because it's called staying active, doing what made you rich? Boosie and Birdman are legends. It's a blessing to be able to pop out pushing 50 and get a bag to perform for fans. Ralo, hold this L. He sound bitter because he don't got no timeless music. Only rap culture do this because Ozzy Osbourne dang near 80 doing tours, shaking my head. So it does seem like within the comment section, I see a lot of people going against what Ralo actually said, even though Ralo probably said it for a specific reason. Let's just read a couple more comments, then we'll hop into the Venezuelan stuff. It says, I think they do it because they like to do it and it's extra bread and they do it for their fans. This tongue don't answer to nobody but God, but you answer to them police though, Lamb South. Boosie, don't respond, bro. I ain't gonna cap. I do be seeing a lot of people going against Boosie for a lot of different things, but this is one of the things where I do see the majority of people actually, it looks like they're on Boosie's side for what was particularly said about Boosie this go around by Ralo. And like I say, man, let's get into the next topic anyway. So for those that don't know, America took the plane of a Venezuelan president. His name is Nicolas Maduro. Now we all know, well, maybe y'all don't know, but there's a whole lot of corruption going on in Venezuela. Like they're doing elections and stuff like that. You know how we have a democratic process here where the people get to pick who they want and stuff. Like, allegedly, get to pick who they want, and he wins. Well, over there they saying, nah, buddy's winning. The people don't want him. They're rioting. The economy's bad. But we finna read and find out what in the blue hell is going on and why we took their plane. Because when I heard that we took their plane, I was like, wait, we've never taken a foreign leader's plane, fam. That's like, come get it. That's like some poo shiesty, come get it back in blood type stuff, right? So let's actually go over there and read what the blue hell is actually going on, right? Let me just a second. I'll make the screen here. Okay, cool. So it says, exclusive. U.S. seizes Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's airplane in the Dominican Republic. And for those that don't know, the U.S. and the Dominican Republic, we have ties to very strong ties to each other. We help them out a lot. Pretty much the U.S. helps out a whole lot of the countries around the world that ain't got a whole lot of paper. We may be the reason they don't got a lot of paper, but hey, man, that's what keeps us on top and in the power. That's just the truth of the matter, right? So it says, the United States has seized Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro's airplane after determining that its acquisition was in violation of U.S. sanctions. It's acquisition. I believe acquisition is a word that means like location. You know, I do believe that. Let me actually look this up for y'all because like I say, we're doing this together right now. I want to make sure the information that I'm getting, what I would do if I was looking it up without y'all, that I'm actually looking it up while I'm actually with y'all as well, right? So let's look up the word acquisition. I do believe it means placed, all right? An asset or object bought or obtained, typically by a library or museum. So is acquisition. Well, so that to me sounds like they're saying something like the plane was illegally bought or something like that. So as we read more, I'm sure it'll let us know more, right? Determining that its acquisition was in violation of U.S. sanction. Among other criminal issues, the U.S. flew the aircraft to Florida on Monday, according to 2 U.S. officials. It's the latest development in what has long been a frosty relationship between the U.S. and Venezuela, and its seizure in the Dominican Republic marks an escalation as the U.S. continues to investigate what it regards as corrupt practices by Venezuela government. Listen, this is what I'm not understanding. If the U.S. and Venezuela are such enemies of each other and they doing all this corrupt stuff, how in the blue hell is all the Venezuelans actually getting over here? Like, most of the people that I talk to, like, because I'm in Texas, I see it's a whole, like, a neighborhood that I used to live in Texas is actually, it's like filled up with Venezuelans now. When I ask them, hey, where you came from? Because it's cool. I like to know, like, you know, information, stuff like that. 95% of them say Venezuela. To the point to where now I'm like, hey, you came from Venezuela? And they're like, yeah. So it's a lot of that. So if we're at such odds with Venezuela, how is it that all of their people is actually getting over here, right? I mean, something's not adding up, but let's read more to find out more, right? It says, with regards to corrupt practices by Venezuela's government, Our people said, this sends a message all the way up to the top, meaning taking their plane. One of the U.S. officials told CNN, seizing a foreign head of state's plane is unheard of in criminal matters. We're sending a clear message here that no one is above the law. No one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions. And for those that don't know, whenever U.S. put a sanction on a company, a sanction is like pretty much in simple terms saying, hey, you can't do this. We're going to put a sanction on rice, meaning, hey, nobody can deliver rice to these people anymore, right? So the U.S. told them they couldn't do something. They still did it. And something got to do with that plane too, right? Because that's what we took. We took their plane from them. But like I say, as we read more, I'm sure we'll get more details on it, right? It says, the plane has been described by officials as Venezuela's equivalent to Air Force One, and it has been pictured in previous state visits by Mandora around the world. The Dominican Republic President, Luis Abernathy, I don't know how to say his name, said the plane seized by the U.S. on Monday was not registered under the name of the Venezuelan government, but rather under the name of an individual. Foreign Minister of the Dominican Republic, Roberto Alvarez, said the country's Attorney General office received an order last May from a national court to immobilize the plane. The U.S. had requested it be immobilized so they could search for evidence and objects linked to fraud activities, smuggling of goods, or illicit activities and money laundering, he said. In a statement, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said that the Justice Department seized an aircraft we allege was illegally purchased. Okay, now we're getting into something. So they're saying that that plane was illegally purchased for $13 million through a shell company and smuggled out of the United States for use by Nicolas Maduro and his cronies. Hold on, bro. So okay, now we got more details. They're saying that the plane that the president of Venezuela had, because now we took it, they're saying that he illegally purchased that plane from the United States. So if they have sanctions on them, that means that there's something that Venezuela was not supposed to be receiving, but he used a shell company, which is like a company that's not in his name, to actually purchase that plane, right, and get it out of the U.S. and over to Venezuela. So that's a little more detail. That's actually some important details that we need to know, so we can figure out what in the blue hell happened and why we took the plane, right? It says the plane, a Dassault Falcon 900EX, was purchased from a company in Florida, the Justice Department said, and was illegally exported in April 2023 from the United States to Venezuela through the Caribbean. It was used for Maduro's international travels and flew almost exclusively to and from a military base in Venezuela. According to the Justice Department, records show that the plane's last registered flight was in March, flying from Caracas to Dominican, the capital of Santo Domingo. The Venezuelan government described the seizure as piracy. So the Venezuelan government is saying that America committed piracy. When I say the word piracy, think of a pirate, right? What do pirates do? Like jump on other people's ships and try to take all their stuff out their ship, right? So seizure is piracy. In a statement on Monday, and accused Washington of escalating aggression towards Maduro's government following a contested presidential election this July. So they're saying that the U.S., by taking that plane, the U.S. is effectively showing aggression towards Venezuela's government because Venezuela had an election that was contested, meaning pretty much it sounds like to me like the election that actually happened, the U.S. don't want that president in their office anymore, right? And maybe their citizens don't as well, right? A lot of places around the world, a lot of poorer countries around the world, to be honest with y'all, they're always overran by bigger countries, and they're always influenced by the bigger countries to get particular people in office. And I guess this guy that's in office right now, the U.S. don't want him in office, and they aren't happy with how the election process actually went in order to get him in office, right? So that's why all the sanctions on his company. Typically, when the U.S. places sanctions on people's countries, like they don't let them get food, they don't let them get water, they don't let them get a whole lot of stuff, and it does mess up their economy, right? Which, and if your economy gets bad enough, you eventually give in to the higher power, which in this case would be America, and do what we say, right? Or else keep facing them sanctions. But in this way, it's kind of backfiring on us because we got sanctions on them. We got them in economic turmoil. We got them to where they're poor, but now their people is leaving their country and coming over here. And it's a lot of the gang members that's actually coming over here. Well, and I mean, obviously regular people as well. And it ain't just Venezuelans coming, it's all type of people, Chinese, African, everything, but also a big portion of that is Venezuelans because their country is doing so bad, right? It's just because all the sanctions that's on their company, right? So let's just continue reading because we're actually learning some information on this together now, right? So it says, once again, the authorities in the U.S. is a recurring criminal practice that could not be labeled anything but piracy, have illegally seized an aircraft that has been used by the President of the Republic, justifying his actions in coercive measures that illegally and unilaterally they impose around the world, it said. The United States has already demonstrated that it uses economic and military power. If y'all don't know, the United States spends more on its military than like every country around the world, right? I'm talking about you can combine like China's military budget with pretty much the three biggest military budgets just don't include the U.S. You can combine those together, and the U.S.A. still spends more money on their military than all of them. So we do use our military. Pretty much our money in the U.S. is backed by our military. A lot of countries around the world, money is backed by gold and all this stuff, right? Ours is backed by military, meaning that if you try to get in between our money, we're going to send our military to come alive your leaders and do what we need to do, blow you up, whatever we got to do to make sure that our money stays on top, right? I'm going to finish reading. It says, economic and military power to intimidate and pressure states such as Dominican Republic to serve as accomplices in its criminal acts. So what they mean by that is that the United States has scared the Dominican Republic to hold that plane that we took that belonged to the Venezuelan president. We scared them into holding on to that plane for us, right? This is an example of the supposed rules-based order, you know, the rule of law, right? Which disregarding international law seeks to establish the law of the strongest, it said. And then it says multiple agencies involved. For years, U.S. officials have, you know what, we've read enough about that. So kind of, you know, my whole point was figuring out what in a blue hell was actually going on inside of Venezuela to the point to where, we took their plane. Why did we take their plane? Now we know. They're saying that the plane that we took was illegally bought from the United States for $13 million. They bought the plane from Russia. I mean, not Russia. They bought the plane from Florida, and then they brought it through the Caribbean in order to get it to over there with Venezuela, right? So that's one thing that we figured out. But also we also figured out that Venezuela had an election, and the president, I guess that president won the election, and the U.S. does not like that president. Maybe he ain't trying to follow the rules, follow what we want him to do. So therefore we have sanctions on them, and it's completely destroying their economy, right? And it ain't just our sanctions because we have a lot of people on our team, members on our team, right? So if we impose sanctions, that means our partners are also going to follow the sanctions that we impose on Venezuela, right? But I want to let's read a little deeper so we can see what the crisis that's going on inside of Venezuela. And then from there, we'll wrap up the video, right? I just wanted us to do a deep dive together and just see how to, just something new for what we do, right? A little bit off the hip hop topic, but still about, some news, right? Okay, so this next thing we're going to read is titled Venezuela Crisis in Brief. So it's like a brief on the Venezuela crisis. And it's from like August 5th, so this month of 2024, right? Well, last month. So it says, tensions in Venezuela is running high after a government-controlled electoral authority declared Nicolas Maduro the winner of the presidential election and handed him a third consecutive term in office. Okay, so that's big information, right? This is the third consecutive time that this Venezuelan president has become president, and the country has been going every time he's reelected, just going down, right? So it sounds like obviously there's some type of corruption that's actually going on with him, right? It says, let me get back. Okay, not only has the election been described as undemocratic by independent observers, but the result announced by the National Electoral Council, CNE, has also been dismissed as fraudulent by the opposition. So the National Electoral Council, they had the final say, not the people on who should be president. This CNE had the final say, and they chose to put him president back in office, right? Which that upset the people. That's what it sounded like. It says the European Union, the United States, and a number of Latin American nations have refused to recognize the result. Boom. That's where the issue's coming in at. We ain't recognizing that he's the president still, right? So not only are we recognizing that he's the president, on top of that, he's sending his people, especially some of his criminals over here, and now they're causing a ruckus inside of the United States with gang activity and stuff. We already got our gangs over here, the Bloods, the Crips, the GDs, the Sinota, all these people, you know what I'm talking about it now. It's another one coming on in. It says calling instead on the CNE to release detailed data from the polling stations, which the opposition says proves that its candidate Edmundo Gonzalez won by a wide margin. Anti-government protests have flared up, and hundreds of people have been arrested by the security forces, which remain loyal to President Maduro. Those taken to the streets say they voted for change for a quarter of a century in which Venezuela has been governed by the socialist PSUV party, first under the leadership of Hugo Chavez, then after his death in 2013 by his right-hand man Nicolas Maduro. Wait. Dang. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So Venezuela used to be under the control. Let me make this a little bigger, right? So Venezuela used to be under the control of a man named Hugo Chavez, and then in 2013 he was killed. But they're saying death in 2013 by his right-hand man Nicolas Maduro. So Hugo Chavez, right-hand man, killed him and then took over the presidency inside of the Venezuela. So if his right-hand man killed him, what in the hold on? Oh shit. Okay, look. If Buddy's right-hand man killed him, what in the blue hell will make y'all believe and think that he's going to just easily give up power, right? Bro, not going to give up power that easy if he killed his right-hand man in order to achieve the power, right? So let's continue reading it. During this time, their party has gained control of key institutions, including the CNE, right? Okay, the Supreme Court and much of the judiciary. Okay, so that's even more bigger news. So Nicolas Maduro, the current president of Venezuela, he's now got control of the CNE, which are the people that says, okay, this president won, okay, that president won. If you have control over the people who has the final decision on who actually wins and gets voted for president, I mean, then you're going to win over and over and over and over again. And then he's got control over the Supreme Court. So you can't, ain't like you can take it to court on him and try to prove that he's lying. He owns the courts. So yeah, this is devastating, right? It says, let me make it bigger for y'all to see it. As a result, the role of the president has become much more powerful, and the system of checks and balances has been severely weakened. Yes, it's definitely weakened, right? This is like a dictatorship now, pretty much, right? If he's controlling the judiciary, he's controlling who says who won the elections, he's controlling law enforcement, like he's controlling all that right now. So I mean, he's going to be president until somebody takes him out or anything like that, right? It says, not long after Mr. Maduro was elected for the first time in 2011, global oil prices plummeted in Venezuela, which relies almost entirely on oil revenue for its income, okay? So Venezuela survived off of oil, but when he became president, the oil prices plummeted, and it probably has something to do with him killing the previous president, dude, and becoming president. Like the U.S., Europe, and all of them probably like, man, this ain't right. We're going to put sanctions on them. We'll see what else they say, right? So their economy almost entirely relies on oil revenue for its upcoming, for its income. Went into a 7-year recession, inflation skyrocketed, and shortages of basic goods became widespread. Waves of anti-government protests in 2014 and 2017 fizzled out after a police crackdown. Millions of Venezuelans left the country to escape, and they came to America, I'll tell you that, escape economic hardship and political repression. Amid growing discontent, Mr. Maduro was reelected in 2018 in a presidential election widely dismissed as neither free nor fair, because why? He controls the government, he controls the Supreme Court, and he controls the CNE, which we know decides who wins. Venezuela divided opposition in January 2019, united behind the only major institution they were still influential, the National Assembly, and its speaker, Juan Guaido, with the backing of the National Assembly. Mr. Guaido declared himself the, hey, listen, bro, okay, you know, actually, no, we'll continue. Okay, so shortages eased after Mr. Maduro relaxed some of the strict foreign currency regulations brought in by Chavez. However, extreme poverty remains shockingly high and has contributed to more than 7.7 million people leaving Venezuela to seek better lives abroad. So 7.7 million people have left Venezuela. And I bet out of that 7.7 million that left Venezuela, I want to say maybe almost half of those people are in the United States now, right? Disillusioned with the failure of Mr. Guaido's to seize control of majority of opposition parties, dissolved. Okay, we're not even gonna read anymore, right? My whole point was for us to just figure out what in the blue hell is going on inside of Venezuela. We broke down why the plane got took. Obviously, the president illegally got the plane, wasn't supposed to get it. He got it from the United States, which is absolutely insane because we don't rock with him like that at all. Used a shell company or a fake LLC company or a real company just not attached to his name to get the plane. So therefore, we can never catch up and realize, okay, what's going on? But we did. That's why we took the plane back. Also, his country, that president of Venezuela, killed his right-hand man to take the presidency. He took the presidency, gained control of the people who say who won the elections. Like it's like the electoral college inside the United States, right? But over there it's called the CNE, right? So he took control of the people who has the final say on who wins the presidency. So therefore this is his third time of having a presidency and pretty much winning the presidency. His country's going down. Oil is how they survive, but the oil prices and all this stuff has plummeted because nobody rocking with them because they have a lot of sanctions on them. But Buddy will not give up power. They had another election, and in the other election that they had, the public agrees that the opposing party won by a wide majority, but somehow, some way, he remained president, and y'all know how he did that, right? So that's pretty much what's going on inside of Venezuela. There's a whole lot of corruption going on. 7.7 people done left because it's just unlivable, and that's what's happening over here to you. The United States is feeling the effects of that because they're escaping and coming to the United States, right? Anyway, so we talked about Boosie and also Ralo, what Ralo had to say about Boosie, and then also now y'all got a better idea on what in the blue hell is going on with the migrant crisis, illegal immigrant crisis that's happening from Venezuela to the United States. Really, a lot of countries to the United States, but a big portion of it is Venezuela to the United States. How do y'all feel about it? Let me know something. Coming out below, let me know what you think about this entire ordeal. I'm out.